Welcome back into Open House. Thank you for making time to join me and Ryan today. Now, Tanjong Pagar really is on the fringe of the CBD, and it is a nice area. It is also quite historic. When I was a child, we used to take the train to Malaysia from that railway station right there.
I recall my mom used to take the train over to Malaysia from there.
So as children, we used to it was always very exciting. It was different than taking the bus or going in someone's car. But taking the train had its charms. You know, you could see the scenery as it whizzed past you, and there was always something fun to look at. But for those who don't live in the core central region, this would be a visit. You would have to travel to that area. But of course, now it's the ports and it's quite a busy road surrounding the central business district. But Tanjong Pagar is a draw for many, many people. Remember in Duxton when they built the brand new Pinnacle?
Oh, yes.
It was. Lots of people were drawn to the area, and I think it revitalized the area somewhat, didn't it?
They still are. Pinnacle at Duxton has produced so many million-dollar flats, so we can see a lot of people still want to live there.
Yeah, you know what? It is really a very central area. Lots of food and transport nearby. Of course, the medical hub isn't too far away as well. So, to talk to us more about Tanjong Pagar, we have Douglas Chow, CEO of Empower Advisory, back with us. Douglas, hi.
Hi, good morning, folks.
Morning, Douglas.
Hello. Right. So, Tanjong Pagar, as Ryan says, this is the best known example of a rest of central region area. Talk to us about this location. What have you seen to be the person who might want to be a tenant in this area or to buy property in Tanjong Pagar?
Well, just a little walk back to history. So Tanjong Pagar is actually a Malay name, which means Cape of Sticks. So it's a name which reflects its origin as a fishing village. But today, when someone mentions Tanjong Pagar, as you have mentioned, you think of the buzz of the CBD, you think about the pubs, the interesting dining options they have, tall office buildings, well-conserved shop houses, and lots of white-collar workers, walking around. So as you have mentioned also, Tanjong Pagar is known as the home of the tallest public housing in the world, the 50-story Pinnacle at Duxton. But today, it's even more well-known as the home of the tallest, most expensive, and the largest penthouse in Singapore, and the Wallace Residences.
Yes, of course. Who would not remember that James Dyson bought this, didn't he? For like $73+ million?
That's right. So you may note that there are actually no huge standalone shopping complexes in Tanjong Pagar.
Yes.
You don't really find big name brands over there as well. So what you get located in the shop houses are a lot of standalone cafes, eateries, pubs and clubs. You also find lots of Japanese and Korean restaurants together with local delights and all kinds of Western culinary offerings.
So it's got its charm somewhat, yeah, Douglas?
Yes, and it is this interesting blend of the old and the modern that draws both tenants and buyers to this area. So if you live in Tanjong Pagar, you can walk to work, or you can just travel one MRT stop, assuming you work in Raffles Place. And Tanjong Pagar doesn't feel like a ghost town at night after office hours compared to, say, Shenton Way.
Right.
So you have all the happenings at Duxton Hill, Duxton Road, Murray Street, Truss Street, Pixdale Street. All these places come alive at night with nightlife and F&B offerings.
And of course, Chinatown isn't far away as well.
Exactly, you can just walk to Maxwell Food Center for a bite.
Wow, okay.
Right, Douglas, let's take a look at the numbers here in Tanjong Pagar. So, what are the sort of prices and rental like that we're seeing here, especially compared to, say, districts 9, 10, and 11, because that's probably the first thing people will compare it to.
Yeah, that's right. So, District 9, 10, 11 are the areas like Orchard Road, River Valley, Newton, which are predominantly private residential areas with shopping centers, eateries, and some nightlife. But let me just compare some Tanjong Pagar condos with the condos in District 9, 10, and 11. So before I do that, just to repeat my point earlier on, the appeal of Tanjong Pagar. So the high rentals and the prices in Tanjong Pagar you see, it's really driven by working professionals. They prefer a buzz that is distinctively different from D9, 10, 11, which appeal more to families who want to be near good schools.
Right.
Right. So in terms of the sale price and rental that we are seeing actively, I'll just look at three prominent ones. In terms of wallage residences, we are seeing transacted PSF of about 3,000 to 5,000. Rental is pretty strong. It ranges from $8 to $9 PSF. Gross yield wise, we're talking about 2 to 3%. And just two more condos we can draw reference to. Sky Suites at Anson. The PSF range in terms of transactions is between 1,008 to 2,009 PSF. Rental wise, it's between 550 to 7 PSF. So yield wise, it's about 3%. So the last example, Altex, is also very near Wallace Residences. Transacted between 1,007 to 2,004 PSF. Rental wise, it's between $550 to $7 PSF. Gross yield is about 3.5%. So what you can see is that the price and rental here is actually comparable to some freehold condos in 9, 10, and 11, which is quite something, because what I've mentioned in the Tanjong Pagar area are 99 years leasehold condos, and yet they're holding their own against the freehold condos in 9, 10, and 11.
Douglas, this makes it look, and it is, that Tanjong Pagar isn't really the poorer cousin of Orchard Road or some of the other areas that you mentioned earlier, because you mentioned all the very high-end condominiums earlier, and also Tanjong Pagar is one of the areas that will directly be impacted in the future by the Greater Southern Waterfront. So it's got a lot going for it, not just the residents, but for office space, retail space. So all of this is going up. The numbers you've mentioned are crazy high. How will the Greater Southern Waterfront directly impact the whole Tanjong Pagar area, plus all its condos that are coming up?
Well, that is a very big question, because the Greater Southern Waterfront is really going to be a huge redevelopment, extending from Pasir Panjang all the way to Marina East. So it is very ambitious. And to give you an idea of the scale, we are talking about covering around 30 kilometers of the southern coastline with about 2,000 hectares for potential redevelopment. So we're talking about 6 times the size of Marina Bay. Right?
Oh, wow. Okay, when you put it in that perspective.
Yeah.
So it will impact whatever new condos that will come up in the area, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it is very huge. So the government has to be very careful to release the land in stages. So instead, with population growth, to maintain a sustainable gradual increase in land price and not to hollow out the CBD. So the good thing about Tanjong Pagar is that currently it is positioned as a gateway to this new development. So it should hold its own with a unique mix of old and new. I mean, you will never find old shophouses in the Greater Southern Waterfront anyway.
Absolutely. So again, going back to the point where Tanjong Pagar is new yet old, so it's got a bit of new, a bit of old. There's a lot of excitement in the area as well, and you, as you say, a new gateway. I really like that term. And so there's a lot going for Tanjong Pagar. If you go a little bit further, literally just up the road from Tanjong Pagar, you've got the Kampong Baru area, and that's what we'll come back and talk more about. Continuing our conversation and taking a walk, again going back to what Douglas had said, a walk not just back in time, but a walk forward in time from Tanjong Pagar to Kampong Baru, and then talk about a new launch, which is Avenue South Residence. Douglas stays with us here on Open House. You can call us with your questions or send them in to our WhatsApp number, which is 963-11938. You're on Open House. I'm Susan Ng, together with 99.co's Ryan Ong. Stay with us.
Talk to us anytime. WhatsApp CNA93.8 on 963-11938.
Welcome back into Open House. Thank you so much for making time to join us today. With 99.co's Ryan Ong, I'm Susan Ng. With questions, you can call us 669-11938, WhatsApp 963-11938. We are still joined by Douglas Chow. Douglas is CEO of Empower Advisory Private Limited. Douglas, thank you for staying on with us.
Yeah,
Okay, so we talked about Tanjong Pagar earlier on with Douglas, and he gave some stunning figures for the area. Of course, the most stunning is the sale of an apartment, Singapore's most expensive penthouse to date, right? For 73, almost $74 million to James Dyson. So Tanjong Pagar, as Douglas mentioned earlier, it sits on the fringe, but it isn't the poorer cousin anymore of the Orchard and other similar areas. Now, before we get on to our next topic of Avenue South residents, let's just take this one call. Hello, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, any development in Tanjong Pagar is a future circle line extension there.
You want to talk about transport? Okay, we'll come to transport. John, thank you so much for your question. We'll come to that in a moment as we speak about the next topic at hand, which is Avenue South residents.
Right, Avenue South Residence. This is a 99-year development, over 1,000 units. And this is, I guess, the most notable feature are the two 56-story tall towers.
Yeah, wow.
We really seem to like building high things in Tanjong Pagar. Now, Douglas, some people love the height. It feels like you're living in a skyscraper. But others are worried about the density. They're saying this seems like a lot of units to pack into just two towers. What's your take on this?
Density-wise, I think it's pretty alright. I mean, the site area, if you go down to take a look at the show flat and the area itself, it's pretty large at about 250,000 square feet. So there is a reason why UOL developer built two very tall towers. So by building just two very tall towers, they achieve a few things. Number one, it frees up a lot of space on the ground floor to build your communal facilities like your long swimming pools, your mini trails, your tennis courts. And by building just two towers, it also means that the developer could build two blocks based almost side by side each other so that they do not look directly into each other. You know the common gripe when people buy condos, they say, oh, I'm looking directly into my neighbor.
Yes.
So by having just two very tall blocks, UL actually took that issue out of any objection.
So there are good views then for almost everyone.
That's right.
We're going to take John's question now. John called in and asked a very good question about transport and the MRT. So Avenue South residents, there is no MRT access at the moment, but let's talk about the future situation for transport in that area.
Actually, it's not that bad because if you were to look at the map, Avenue South Residences is only about 1 kilometer away from Cantonment MRT station.
So you can walk there actually.
Yes, so if you're a fast walker, 12 minutes. If you walk at your own pace, maybe 15 minutes. But it is within a comfortable walking range. So it's not too bad.
All right, so it's not too bad. John, I hope that answers your question because you will have enough transportation hubs close by with the new MRT stations coming up in the area as well.
And I think these days you usually have a shuttle service, right?
Yes, many condos do that. Yes.
Now, one of the things about Avenue South residents, again, this was related to the MRT access. Back in 2018, I believe, when it was up for tender, there was only one bid. And at over $1 billion, it was said to be overpriced. What are your thoughts on that now, given the situation?
Okay, not exactly surprising that there was only one bid because the outlay of more than $1 billion is beyond a lot of developers. And you know there is a lot of pressure to sell all these units within 5 years to avoid ABSD. So most developers actually these days go for the smaller sites, like the one near Mata MRT station. So to put things in perspective, the site near Mata MRT station was actually chased after by 10 developers.
Wow.
And eventually, the winning bid was 1,104 PSF per plot ratio, not much lower than 1,138 that was paid by UOL.
I see.
So if you put these two things together, I wouldn't say that UOL had overpaid for the piece of land. Even if there was only one bidder, I mean, our government would not just give it to the developer at a bargain. They have an internal reserve price anyway.
Right. So actually probably pretty good deal that he got.
Yeah, if you take it in the correct context, I wouldn't say they overpaid, but of course everyone has an opinion on what the land price should be, so I can't comment on that as well.
Well, coming to another form of prices, on 99.co, we're seeing average prices of roughly 2015 per square foot for Avenue South residents. But we also know prices change a lot from the 40th floor upward, right? What's the kind of price difference that we're looking at for the higher up units, and what's the overall pricing?
The 56-story tower is divided into two heights. So from the third story onwards, the 35th story, they call it the Horizon Collection. And from the 37th story upwards, it's called the Peak Collection. So the Peak Collection are all the higher floor units, and the PSF that we are seeing is 2001 to 2006.
Right.
Whereas those on the lower floors, known as the Horizon Collection, is cheaper, as you have mentioned, about 1008 to 2000 PSF, depending on the level and floor area.
So 35th and 37th floors, those are the numbers to take note of if you're interested.
There are. Listen, it's quite a nice mix, isn't it? From 1 to 4 bedders at Avenue South Residences. Who would be a prospective buyer or tenant for this? I know it's still a long way to go, but what would your view be on this?
If you look at the configurations of this development, the one bedders itself make up about 22.5% or 242 units. The two bedders make up almost 50% at 505 units. So what you can see is that, or rather infer, is that the developer, UOL, is targeting mainly investors or single working professionals and couples with probably no kids. So in terms of the tenant profile that you will get if you are an investor, the large tenant pool will come from the Singapore General Hospital cluster, which is just 4 to 5 minutes away, and the new Outram Medical cluster. So I would see a healthy take-up of units for rental from just this pool alone. And then of course you have the tenants who work a bit further but like to be in this part of the area.
So it will attract quite a good mix of people who are buying to invest and also the home buyer.
So just one last quick question. Let's look at the facilities here, Douglas. Because in huge developments like this, usually the facilities are expected to be quite extensive. What have we got going at Avenue South Residence?
Well, it has all the bells and whistles that you might expect. We have 2 long lap pools, a tennis court, there's large landscaping. There are lots of function rooms. There are 6 function rooms. Lots of walking trails. You have a piano room. You have 18.
Wow.
Yeah, you have 18 sky gardens. So if you are staying on the lower floor, you can always go to the higher up sky gardens to enjoy the unblocked view from above. You have a lot of gyms. You have indoor and outdoor gyms. You have an aqua gym. You have 8 commercial shops. And if you are a family, you will be happy to know that there's still a childcare within the development.
That's important.
That's important. Oh, that's a good thing to have then. So with this particular unit, they've got everything, as you say. It's got all the bells and whistles. And I guess the height at 56 stories will be a selling point for some people, wouldn't it?
The fact that this building will be a landmark in the area, so your friends will have no excuse that they can't find where you stay, because you just sit and look up in the sky, you see 2 towers, that's where I stay. So it's definitely going to be one of the tallest condos we have here. The view will definitely draw buyers, but I think the challenge, not just for this development, but for any development, is how do you convince buyers that the view on, say, 48th story is better than that on the 45th story.
and it's worth so much more as well.
Yeah. At a certain level, it's harder to tell the difference, right? So I think that is the challenge that all developers will have to overcome.
Douglas, thank you very much. Very insightful comments, very entertaining as well. Love talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Douglas.
Welcome.
Thank you, Douglas Chow, who is CEO of Empower Advisory Private Limited. Open House continues in a moment. Stay with us.